Good day, Chester, and welcome to another Chester Historical Society moment by Jackie Brown. I'm standing in front of what is today Bittersweet Blessings. And as you can see from the turrets, it looks like a Victorian-style home. But what was it in the 1700s? What was it in the 1800s? Let's take a look.
The original house, which is circled in red, was bought by Chester's second minister, Reverend Ebenezer Flagg, in 1736. He purchased it from the first minister, Moses Hale. Reverend Flagg made Chester known as the Greta Green of its day. I did not understand this terminology until I traveled to Greta Green in Scotland 3 years ago and found this is where people traveled from England over the line into Scotland to be married quickly. Reverend Flagg was known for doing the same quick marriages. Reverend Flagg served the Congregational Church for 60 years and lived in this simple house facing Chester Street for the rest of his life. Reverend Flagg died in 1796 at the age of 92. The church bell was broken while tolling for Reverend Flagg's funeral. Reverend Flagg is buried in the Chester Village Cemetery. Next, Governor John Bell bought this property in 1802. He turned Reverend Flagg's house at a 90-degree angle and moved it back from the road on the piece of property. In front of the house, he built a Georgian-style home. John Bell was born in 1765 in Londonderry. His parents came to Londonderry from Ireland. As a young man, he became a merchant, trading and selling New Hampshire products in Canada and Canadian products in New Hampshire. He entered state politics when he became a member of the New Hampshire House of Representatives in Londonderry. He later moved to Chester, and I assume because his brother Jonathan was already living here. Interestingly, it was his brother Jonathan who married Sarah Wingate Flagg, the granddaughter of the second minister, Ebenezer Flagg, that had lived previously in the L. He married Persis, the daughter of an East Derry tavern owner and postmaster, in 1803. They had 10 children. Only 2 of his children would survive to adulthood. Disease took the lives of the others. He was a member of the New Hampshire State Senate. He was a member of the Executive Council of New Hampshire and the Sheriff of Rockingham County. He also promoted state formal agricultural education and experimentation in farming and agriculture. In 1828, Bell was a Republican and a supporter of President John Quincy Adams. And the same year, he became the 12th governor of the state of New Hampshire. His brother, Samuel Bell, was the 8th governor of New Hampshire. His youngest son, Charles Henry Bell, was a senator and served as the 38th governor of New Hampshire. They sure liked keeping it in the family. John Bell's portrait hangs in the New Hampshire State House even today. John Bell died in Chester on March 22, 1836. And he's buried in the village cemetery in Chester with his youngest brother, Governor Samuel Bell, and John's wife. Not that many years ago, John Bell's front of his tombstone laid in the dirt. It was repaired by our wonderful cemetery trustees and placed back in its proper place on the mound. I heartily suggest a trip to the village cemetery and see the extensive cemetery plot of the Bell family, many which are very famous men. The next person to own the house was Dr. Arthur Emerson. Here is a great picture of him standing in front of his home after he added Victorian gingerbread look to it. The front porch and an elaborate entrance that gave it the Victorian appearance around the turn of the century in 1900. Dr. Emerson opened his medical practice in 1883 here. He also served as the Surgeon General for the state of New Hampshire. Today, you can still see the Victorian architectural pediments. Look at the unusual triangular window, architectural shakes, and the dental work around the top molding. There are unique lightning rods, and look at the construction of the fabulous design work on the chimney of the house. There are several glass-stained windows and doors. After Dr. Emerson's passing, the town purchased the property in 1929 from Mrs. Emerson. A trust fund had been growing over several years to establish a home for an old ladies' home. It was called the Wilcom Townsend Trust Fund. In 1930, the members of the trust fund started the home here. The home never met the town's expectations, and in 1946, it was sold to Mr. and Mrs. Albert Warren. This is a postcard of the Warrens' home. Bert Warren collected milk from local farmers in large tank trucks, and the spacious barn was perfect for this need. Daughter Lucy Reed lived in the house next. Mr. Reed was chief of police in Chester in 1948, 49, and 50 until he was called back into active duty with the U.S. Navy. Mrs. Reed opened a gift shop. She named the shop the Ebenezer Flag House. Her shop was in the very room where many of the flag marriages took place. The Chester Historical Society owns the original sign for her shop. In 1926, power came all the way up Chester Street, and Mrs. Warren could boast having the first electric wash machine. In the barn, her husband had electric milking machines that could do in a single hour what used to take 2 men to do in 2 hours. Faith Preston summered in Chester with her family. It was her dream to open a college, and White Pines College opened in 1976. It was later used by Chester College of New England. At its height, it had an enrollment of 200 students. This grand old home was purchased in 1976 to be used as a dormitory. The home was called Douglas Hall after Mrs. Samuel Douglas, who was the first chairman of the board and a close friend of Faith Preston, the founder of the college. A $10,000 photography facility opened in the barn with a new degree program in professional photography, and the tennis courts out back were completed in 1977. Douglas Hall was converted into an art building in the summer of 2000. Enrollment decreased and the school closed in 2012. When the building went up for sale, it was Bittersweet Blessing Shop that purchased this property and now is located there. Bittersweet Blessings is a fabulous gift shop. It's open 7 days a week from 10 o'clock till 5 o'clock. While inside Bittersweet Blessings, take a look at the original features inside, like the Italian tile around 2 of the fireplaces, or the old safe, the fabulous front door with stained glass and the many stained glass windows, or the grand staircases going to the second floor. There's one in the front and there is one in the back. As you walk through Bittersweet Blessings, remember the history that you're walking through. This home is 285 years old. Think of the fabulous history that was made here. And think of the twists and the turns the architecture took from the second minister in Chester, Reverend Ebenezer Flagg, to the 12th governor of the state of New Hampshire, John Bell, and the people that were treated inside the house by Dr. Emerson, and the students that slept inside these rooms at White Pine College.